Since the beginning of time, mystics, prophets, and initiates have spoken of an invisible library, not made of paper, ink, or stone, but of energy. A realm that exists beyond space and time, yet somehow records every moment within it. Every sound, every breath, every soul's movement. They called it the Akashic Records. The word Akasha comes from Sanskrit. It means ether, or that which holds all. In ancient Indian metaphysics, Akasha is the first and most subtle element, the container of light, vibration, memory. Not matter, not mind, something beyond both. The Akashic Records are said to be the field of encoded consciousness that surrounds and penetrates everything. A vibrational layer of the universe that stores the imprint of every experience. Not just physical events, but inner events. Thoughts, feelings, dreams, even intentions. Every human soul has its own record, like a vibrational fingerprint, and every soul contributes to the universal record, a vast holographic memory of existence. These are not static archives. They are alive, and they are accessible, but not through intellect, not through logic, not even through belief. They are accessed through resonance, through alignment, through vibration. This is why some enter naturally, during deep meditation, in moments of heartbreak, through spontaneous knowing, and others must train, listen, refine. Because the records are not a thing to be studied. They are a frequency to be remembered. Long before the term Akashic Records existed, the concept was already present, encoded in myth, ritual, and symbol across ancient civilizations. Because even without the word, the experience was known. In ancient Egypt, they spoke of the halls of Maat, a place in the afterlife where every soul's deeds were weighed. Not by judgment, but by vibration. The feather of truth was not a metaphor. It was a measurement of resonance. If your soul vibrated in harmony with divine law, you could ascend. If it was heavy with distortion, you returned to try again. But where was this record kept? Not in scrolls, it was etched into your energy field. The priests of Thoth spoke of a cosmic library held in the inner planes. Initiates would enter deep states of trance and consult what they called the light scriptures. Luminous patterns that revealed past lives, soul contracts, karmic imprints. They believed this realm was the memory of the soul and the memory of the stars, one and the same. In Vedic India, the Akasha was foundational. The sages taught that Akasha was the mother element, from which earth, water, fire, and air emerged. Sound traveled through Akasha, and through sacred sound, mantra, one could access deeper layers of knowing. They called it Shruti, that which is heard, not learned, not read, heard. Because truth already exists. You do not invent it, you tune into it. In Tibet, the concept appears as the rainbow light body, the idea that the soul's full memory is contained within its energetic field, and that through years of alignment, meditation, and compassion, the soul can activate full remembrance and dissolve the illusion of death itself. Among Gnostic mystics, the pleroma was the realm of divine fullness, a field of original knowledge from which the soul emanated. By purifying distortion, the soul could return and recall its true nature. This wasn't poetic. It was gnosis, direct experiential knowing. The Sufis called it the Law al-Mahfuz, or the well-preserved tablet. They believed that every event, every breath, every prayer was already written, not in stone, but in light. They danced, whirled, and wept themselves into ecstasy, not for ritual's sake, but to touch the field. Even early Kabbalists spoke of the Book of Remembrance, a record of the soul's journey inscribed not in heaven, but in the living tree of life. Different names, different symbols, same truth, a field, a light, a memory, a record, not outside you, but around you, and sometimes within you. For thousands of years, mystics spoke of an invisible field that stores memory, emotion, and soul imprint. Today, scientists are beginning to glimpse the same truth, but through the lens of physics. In quantum theory, there exists the concept of the quantum field, an invisible web that underlies all particles. At the deepest level, there is no solidity, only vibration, fields, probabilities. The universe is not a machine, but a field of potentials. The Akashic Records, then, are not some fantasy realm. They may be the informational layer of the quantum field itself, a layer where everything is connected and where every action leaves a trace. Physicist Erwin Laszlo called it the A field, the Akashic field, and argued that it carries the memory of the entire universe. According to him, it is not only the medium of physical reality, but also of consciousness. What mystics called accessing the records, he described as tuning into the cosmic hologram. A hologram is not like a photograph. It stores information in every part of itself. Cut it into pieces, and each piece still contains the whole. This is how the Akashic field works. Every soul, every being carries access to the whole memory. Biologist Rupert Sheldrake spoke of morphic resonance, the idea that memory is not stored in the brain but in a shared field. When one individual learns, the information becomes more available to others. This isn't metaphor. It's observable in biology. In this view, memory is not inside you. It's around you. You don't contain your past lives. You tune into them. Even DNA, once thought to be purely material, is now seen as a receiver and transmitter. Scientists have found that DNA responds to sound, light, intention. It's not just a code, it's a conscious antenna. This is why certain sounds, rituals, or emotional states can unlock deep memories. You're not fabricating them. You're aligning your signal. And this is how the Akashic Records truly function. They are not a book, not a place, not even a thing. They are a frequency band of truth. The more coherent your vibration, the clearer the signal. The more aligned your intent, the deeper the access. And the more open your heart, the more gentle the memory will return. The Akashic Records are not a passive archive. They are a living mirror of your soul's journey. Every soul that incarnates on earth leaves an imprint, a vibrational trail of thoughts, choices, emotions, and karmic threads. These are not judged or graded, but simply recorded like ripples on a vast ocean of light. Before incarnation, the soul meets with beings of light, known in many traditions as guides, elders, or watchers. In this state, beyond time, the soul reviews its previous journeys and studies the energetic patterns that still seek resolution. This is called the life review, not to punish, but to understand. Not with shame, but with clarity. And from that awareness, the soul chooses its next path. Where to be born, to whom, what wounds to experience, what gifts to carry, which lessons to heal, not only for itself, but for the collective. These decisions are not linear. They are vibrational contracts, patterns of energy that are encoded in the soul's field before arrival. And these intentions are woven directly into the Akashic Records, like planting a seed before the tree grows. But here's what most forget. The records are not fixed. They reflect your trajectory and not your prison. This is where free will meets cosmic design. Some events in your life feel fated. Why? Because they were chosen by the soul before birth, to catalyze awakening, growth, or remembrance. These are anchor points in your story. But between those points lies infinite potential. Every choice you make, every shift in perspective creates a new branch in your timeline, and the Akashic Records adjust instantly. Not in judgment, but in truth. They simply reflect the new frequency. This is why deep healing changes your future. Why forgiveness dissolves karma. Why awakening opens doors that didn't seem to exist before. Because you are not just reading your records, you are writing them, in every moment. This is what the mystics meant when they said, "You are the author of your soul." Not in metaphor, in vibration. Your every thought is a pen, your every feeling is ink, and your life is the unfolding manuscript of consciousness becoming self-aware. You do not need robes, temples, or sacred books to access the Akashic Records, because the records are not in a place. They are in a state of resonance, of stillness, of inner coherence. Some people first encounter the records in meditation, not through visions, but through a sudden and vast knowing, like a memory that doesn't come from the brain, but from the soul. Others touch the records in dreams. You wake with a feeling, an image, a sentence that feels ancient. You don't know where it came from, but you know it's yours, not from this life, from somewhere deeper. Trauma can also open the records. In moments of heartbreak, ego collapse, or near death, the walls of identity fall away, and the soul remembers. In those moments, people report clarity beyond logic. Memories of other lives, a sudden shift in priorities. They are not becoming someone else. They are remembering who they were. Rituals and prayer can also serve as gateways, not because the words have power, but because the intention does. When the mind quiets and the heart opens, the Akashic field begins to respond. Even breath can be the key. Certain breathing practices, found in yoga, tantra, shamanic work, alter your frequency. You become less dense, more receptive, more attuned. The veil thins, and sometimes the field opens spontaneously. You meet someone and something inside you whispers, "I know you." You stand in a place and feel as though you've returned. You read a sentence and feel your entire being shift, as if that truth had been waiting inside you. These are not fantasy. They are flashes of the field. You don't have to go there. You have to match it, because the Akashic Records are always present. But they speak in a different language. They speak in frequency. They speak in symbol. They speak in resonance. The more you align with love, clarity, and presence, the more clearly the records begin to speak. What do the Akashic Records actually contain? Everything, but not all at once. When you enter the field, you don't see a movie of your past lives or a transcript of the future. You feel layers of information, emotional, energetic, symbolic. The records speak in images, resonance, and inner knowing, not in plain facts, but in encoded truth. You may feel the presence of a lifetime in Egypt, but not remember your name. You may sense the pain of a vow you made centuries ago, but not know the language you spoke. You may glimpse a version of your future, not as fate, but as vibrational potential. The records show you what is relevant to your path now, not for entertainment, not for curiosity, but for growth. This is why some people ask, but receive no answer, not because the field is silent, but because the soul is not ready. The Akashic field is not Google. It does not respond to ego. It responds to alignment. You must ask from the soul, with humility, with sincerity, and even then, sometimes the answer is a feeling, not a fact, a symbol, not a sentence, a shift, not a story. There are layers to the records like floors of a vast temple. The personal layer, your memories, patterns, timelines, choices. The ancestral layer, inherited energies, family karma, bloodline codes. The collective layer, shared archetypes, historical echoes, cultural wounds. The planetary layer, Earth's memory, natural rhythms, evolutionary shifts. The cosmic layer, soul origins, starseed imprints, interdimensional knowledge. You may access one, or many. It depends on your frequency. Some experience it visually, images, places, colors. Others feel it as heat, pressure, emotion. Some hear phrases, whispers, songs, and some simply know. There is no right way. The field will meet you exactly where you are. And sometimes, the deepest answer is silence. Because that silence is not empty. It is sacred space waiting for you to become the version of yourself who can understand. Accessing the Akashic Records is not the end. It is the beginning. Because information is not the same as integration. You may receive insight, memory, vision, but what matters is what you do with it. Some people leave a session or spontaneous experience feeling light, uplifted, remembered. Others feel exhausted, emotional, disoriented. Why? Because the records don't just speak to the mind. They touch the soul's memory. They stir what has been asleep, and sometimes what has been repressed. You might remember a past vow of silence and suddenly feel your voice unfreeze. You might recall an ancient betrayal and find forgiveness rising, uninvited. You might see a future possibility so clear it begins to pull you forward gently, daily. But always, the body must catch up. You may feel tired. You may cry without knowing why. You may feel as if part of you just died and another part was born. This is not collapse. It is reconfiguration. Your energy field is adjusting to the information you've accessed, and the soul is reweaving your timeline based on the new awareness. This is why grounding is essential. After working with the records, whether through deep meditation, dream, or guided practice, you must return gently. Breathe, eat, walk in nature. Let your nervous system settle. Give space for your inner structures to rearrange, because what you remember changes what you attract. You might notice synchronicities increase. You might be guided to leave something behind. You might see your relationships shift, not dramatically, but subtly, quietly, naturally. You may even lose interest in old versions of yourself. And that's okay, because the more you align with the truth of your soul, the more your external life becomes a reflection of your internal clarity. The Akashic Records do not give you new answers. They remind you of the ones you already carry, in your field, in your voice, in your choices. And every day after reading them, you are rewriting them. There are many myths about the Akashic Records. Some say only mystics or trained psychics can access them. Others believe the records are guarded, hidden, or encrypted beyond reach. Some fear that once something is written, it can never be changed. But these beliefs come from misunderstanding, from projecting human systems onto a sacred living field. The truth is simpler and more powerful. Myth 1. Only gifted people can access the records. Truth. Every soul has access, not because of talent, but because of origin. You come from the same source that holds the records. Your energy is already entangled with it. What blocks access is not lack of ability, but noise, fear, or forgetting. Silence, sincerity, and presence are your keys, not psychic power. Myth 2. The records are fixed and absolute. Truth. They reflect patterns, not prisons. Yes, your past actions are recorded, but you are a creator. The future is not fixed. The records shift as your frequency shifts. Karma is not punishment. It is pattern, and patterns can be healed. Myth 3. Reading the records can be dangerous. Truth. The records only show what you're ready for. The field is intelligent. It does not overwhelm. It does not reveal what would destabilize you. If something remains hidden, it's not to punish. It's to protect. You are always held in compassion. Myth 4. It's wrong to access the records for others. Truth. Accessing someone's field without consent is intrusion. But if permission is given, energetically, emotionally, or through direct request, reading for another can be a gift of service. You are not spying. You are witnessing. And the act must always come from love, not control. Myth 5. The Akashic Records are a belief system. Truth. They are an experience, not a dogma. You don't have to believe in them. You have to feel them. You don't have to adopt a new identity. You have to remember your original one. The field does not ask for followers. It invites alignment. In the end, the greatest myth is that the records are outside you, but they are not somewhere you go. They are something you become. Every act of presence, every moment of surrender, every choice made in truth is a page written in light. You came here not just to read the records, you came here to embody them, to walk as a living page of light, to remember so deeply that your presence awakens others, to speak truth that vibrates across lifetimes, because living in alignment with the Akashic field is not about mystical access. It's about living your life as a sacred document. Every choice you make, a vibration. Every breath you take, a ripple in time. Every act of love, a rewriting of the future. You begin to see that nothing is random, that every encounter is encoded, that every wound is a message, that every longing is a memory trying to return. You no longer seek to escape your life, you listen to it. You don't resist your path, you refine it. You stop asking, "What should I do?" and instead ask, "What is trying to emerge through me?" This is what it means to live in resonance with the records, to be still enough to hear the ancient voice, to be brave enough to follow what it whispers, to become so attuned that your very frequency becomes a prayer, not to know more but to non-nuts, but to become more clear, not to seek control but to surrender into truth, not to be powerful but to be real, because in truth, the Akashic records are not outside you. They are your soul's reflection, your mirror, your music, and the universe is listening. Thank you for remembering. Subscribe for more transmissions from the field.